Hey everyone, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Corrie Carlson and I am a holistic nutritionist and health coach. And I'm very passionate about seeing you live your best life and have energy and balance and just feel really good. And so for the episode that we're doing today, it's one that's very dear to my heart, and it's something that so many people struggle with, and it's self-image and body image. And I'm going to be sharing some tips that have really helped me in this area, and I'm also going to be sharing my personal story. I think most of you can relate to having some sort of time in your life where you felt like you didn't measure up or felt like you had to look in a certain way. And I know that's a struggle for everyone at some point, but especially ladies, just that comparison and looking at movies and magazines, and now especially with social media and seeing other girls and thinking, man, why don't I look like that? Why don't I have their hair or their legs or whatever it is? And we look at these airbrushed pictures and snippets of people's life that is their highlight reel, and we think, I'm missing something, like I don't have that, or I don't have that success, or I don't look like that. And in reality, that isn't even their real life either. That is just what they're choosing to put out there on social media. And so I just wanted to share with you that you're not alone if this is something that you are walking through or have walked through. I really started to struggle with it the most when I was in college, and it became something for me that it was like every day I had to run like 3 to 4 miles in the gym. I had to have certain food and a certain number of calories, and if I ate something I didn't think I should have eaten, or if I ate too much, or I wasn't able to get to the gym, it consumed me. It's all I thought about. Like, man, now I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to gain weight. And I was hoping so badly to get down to a certain weight that I had in mind, because I thought that is what I need to look like so that I look like everyone else and I'll feel good about myself. And I did this for a while, and I got way below even where I wanted to get. And I was too skinny, actually. But I look in the mirror and I would think I was fat. I thought that, I still didn't look right, and I wasn't happy. And here's why. Because weight and being at a certain weight and fluctuating and all of that is never gonna satisfy any of us. And it will change depending on what we're going through in life. And if we're looking to that to measure our worth and our success and all of that, we're never going to be happy. And there's always going to be someone else that we see and we think they look better than me, or I wish I looked like them. And so for me, I actually had to take a little bit of time where I didn't work out at all, because I really needed to shift my mind. And that is what I think is one of the most important things, because we live in this comparison game, and not even necessarily just with body image, but with anything. Like, they make more money than me, they're married and I'm not, or whatever it might be for you, we're always going to feel sad. And so what I think for me was, there were 3 things, and those 3 things are what really helped me. Now, let me say this to you too. It's something that I still have to, every day remind myself. And there are days that I have hard days still, and I think that that's everybody. But I have come into a place of so much freedom in this area. And the 3 things that I really think helped me is knowing whose I am. And for me, that's that knowing that I am God's child, and knowing that He created me beautifully, and that His idea of me is never going to change. Even if someone else's does or mine does, His never changes. And when I hear and listen to what He says about me, that made a huge difference for me. And then the other thing is knowing who I am and what my purpose is. Because here's the thing, we all have a purpose. We all were created with a purpose for us to fulfill, not this person over here, not this person over there. And even though, I've heard people say like, oh, well, my purpose is so similar to this person that's already doing that. And maybe it is, but we still are our own person that has our own experiences and our own twist and on things. And so we still can bring so much to the table that this person over here cannot bring, even if they're similar things. And I think that when you come to that place where you know whose you are, and so that doesn't change, you know who you are, and you know what your purpose is, you're not looking over to the right and to the left and at somebody else and comparing yourself to this person and that person. You're moving straight forward and running after what you're supposed to do. And that right there was the first part in me really feeling like I started to get free. Because we are not meant to live our lives, let me just say that, with constant battling of, I can eat this, I can't eat that, this food's off limits, this food's not off limits, because that is no way to live. And I hear, people so often, like, you can tell because they'll say like, oh, I ate this today, so I have to go to the gym tomorrow. Oh, I can't eat that. Oh, that's bad. Here's the thing. Working out is a celebration of the fact that our bodies can move. We have the ability to move. And also, it's amazing because working out is proven to give yourself less stress. So many people nowadays struggle with anxiety and depression. And for a lot of those people, it's because they're eating food that's not ideal for their body and they're not exercising. And exercise is a great way to reduce that in your body. And so that is why we should be working out, because we want to take care of our body. We want our body to be as optimal as possible so we have energy. For me, when I don't exercise or move my body or anything, I feel sluggish, I feel tired, stressed out, I feel sluggish. And when I do exercise, I have so much energy and feel so much better. And just even like mentally, that's a big thing that I think gets left out. Like, it mentally just makes me relaxed and just happy. And so that is a big reason that we should work out. And also because our bodies, we want them to run with food that helps them feel nourished and fueled. Just like if you were at a gas station, you're not going to throw some gas in your car that has a bunch of clumps in it, because your car is not going to go very far. And that's the way we think about it with our body, is what am I putting in my body to fuel it so I have the most energy and ability to do the things that I'm called to do, my purpose, all of that. But having balance and knowing that there are times I'm going out with friends and I'm going to enjoy this food that maybe doesn't fuel my body quite as much, but that's okay once in a while. Because so often now I hear so many people with so many different diets out there, and they're on the next diet over here, and they're restricting their food over here, and they're eating 1 meal a day instead of 3 meals a day. Those are all eating disorders, because I think for so long people think it's just anorexia and bulimia, and those are. But that mindset of constant obsession of what you weigh on the scale, what you do and don't eat, how many calories you put in your body, what foods are off limits and not off limits, or guilt of feeling like you have to exercise because you ate that, those are all eating disorders. And those are all things that plague us. And let me tell you, when you walk into the room and somebody is struggling with that, you know right away, even if they haven't told you they're struggling with that. You can tell that it comes from this place of insecurity, and, you can tell when they're ordering food and that they, only eat a little bit or whatever it is. And let me tell you, that doesn't only affect you, it affects all the people that you're there with. I have been out to dinner with people when someone's like, oh, I'm not eating that right now. Oh, and then you watch them eat just a little bit and save the rest. And you're like, it affects everybody. And you can tell when you're hanging out with somebody who's totally free from that and enjoying their food and having fun. And it makes a big difference. And so I think that's something to think about. And I think for me too, just to remember, like when I was like that, man, this is going to affect my future family if it is not something that I get in order. And I used to teach piano to this family, and the mom, she didn't have weight anywhere to lose, but she was constantly telling me about these diets that she was doing and trying to lose weight and unhappy with how she looked. And there sat her daughter. And I just remember leaving, and now I have a daughter of my own and another baby on the way. But before that, I didn't have kids, and I just remember leaving, and my heart was broken watching that little girl listen to her mom talk like that. And I remember thinking, I don't ever want my family, my future kids, to ever hear me speak that way about my body or about my personality or other parts of me that I didn't like. And I think that, you hear that, and everybody hears enough of that in life. And I never wanted that to come from our home. And I think that that is true whether you have your own children or not, because we're all mother figures in some way, whether it's your friend's kids or your teacher or a job, or, we all have a sphere of influence, or other women that you have in your life. Or if you're a fitness instructor, all of that. We have other people that are looking to us, and we need to set that example of how we speak to ourselves. And we wouldn't speak to our best friend saying, "Oh, I don't like this about you. Oh, that looks terrible." So why would we ever do that to ourselves, right? And even if it's something that's really hard, I think stand in the mirror and practice every morning saying, "I love this about me." Even if it's only one thing the first day that you can think of, just start. And then as you keep on, doing it, start to add more things that you love about yourself and change your mindset. Because here's the thing, I hear so often from people, "Oh, well, I am in fitness, so I have to have a six-pack and I have to look a certain way," or "I have this job, I'm an entertainer and I have to look this part." But who says? That is what's been put on us by society. That doesn't mean that that is a measure of worth and beauty. We are beautiful because of how we were made, not because we weigh a certain amount. And let me tell you, we are our own worst critic, because so often, I hear people saying this stuff and I'm thinking, that's not at all what I see when I look at you. And I think we assume that everybody is seeing that, but that isn't true at all. I love to work out, so I'm in the fitness world a lot. And it's funny because that's an area where I think I see the most of people that are insecure and struggle with their body image. And, just thinking, "Oh, I have to be this way because I'm a fitness instructor." Absolutely not. You're a fitness instructor because you have knowledge about fitness, not because you look a certain way. And to be honest with you, like as a client, if I'm walking into a class or whatever, and I see an instructor that I'm like, "Oh, they're insecure and they're worried about their weight," that to me is far more of a turnoff than an instructor that, is secure in themselves, but maybe isn't 90 pounds or whatever. Okay. And so I think we just have to get that out of our head that we have to look this way or that way because we're in the fitness world or entertainment world or whatever your job is. But you know what? We have to look the way we were created. And you know what? I could do the same workout as you. I could do the same food as you, and I'm not going to look like you. And that's beautiful. And I think the more that we stop trying to look like everyone else and just to do the way we want to look, the style that we love, what's comfortable for us, and living our life in balance, we're going to find so much more joy than constantly thinking about looking like that person, or I want their legs or their style or they're this or they're that. And it's never going to satisfy us, and we're never going to measure up. And I do have to say, I take spin. That's one of my favorite ways to work out. If you haven't tried it, try it. And one of my instructors, her name's Catherine, the first thing I noticed about her when I took her class, because this is very rare to find in the fitness world, is she knew who she was. The minute I walked in, I could tell she was confident. She was empowering and encouraging to us. She didn't care what people thought. She was her own individual, and she knew who she was. And that to me made me want to come back to the class because I'm like, somebody who's confident and they're not trying to look like everybody else or be like everybody else. And that's very rare to find. And she's also a therapist for people that have eating disorders or body image issues. So if you live in the Nashville area and you are really deeply struggling with an eating disorder and just feel like you're stuck and you can't get out, I highly recommend her. I'll link her website. It's called 3 Chords Therapy. But she has helped so many women, and I can't say enough about her for that if you're really stuck and really struggling. Because I think that even though it seems hard, we all can find freedom in this area. None of us have to live in this area and like as a slave to this for the rest of our lives. And so often I hear people say, "Well, that's how I grew up," or my family member was this way, or I, did this, and so that's why I have this mentality with the way I eat. And, I think all of us, if we look back at our childhood, even if it's not something to do with eating or something, we all have stuff that was less than ideal in our life that we can look at and say, oh, either play the victim and say, that's how, I grew up, or my mom was that way, or my dad was that way, so that's why I'm that way. Or we can say, no, I don't want to live my whole life like this. I don't want to live with this baggage and this bondage just because that's how I grew up. And it's hard. It's hard to do the hard work and to either, meet with a counselor or really sit down and retrain your brain to rethink things. That's not easy. But I promise you, it is worth all the work, because you come out on the other side and you're free. You're not living into this. I cannot tell you for my own life what a difference it has made for me to have really dealt with that area of my life. I can go out and enjoy food without ever feeling guilty. I go to the gym and I work out 5 days a week because I love to work out and I love how my body feels and the endorphins when I come out. Not because I ate something I shouldn't have, not because I think I need to be at a certain weight, but because it fuels my body and gives me energy and it helps my mental health. I used to struggle with debilitating panic attacks, and I will share more about this in another video. And exercise was key for me in that. So I just am here to say that it's possible, no matter what you're going through, no matter how low you feel in this area or how much you don't think you measure up, you do. You do. And we were all created so uniquely and so beautifully. And that's what's so amazing. If we look like everybody else, our life would be boring and the world would be boring. And your personality is for a reason. Your life experiences are for a reason. And even if you feel like you walked through one of the hardest things in your life, or your childhood was hard, it's for a reason. And you're going to help somebody. You're going to be that voice for someone else once you get free that is struggling with that. And that's why I love to be authentic and I love to be vulnerable, because I know that I walked through these things for a reason. And if I can help one person here today that there's hope and that you're not alone and that this is something that everybody has walked through in some capacity before, whether it's a little bit or a lot, that you're not the only one. And I think sometimes we believe those lies that, like, I'm the only one who feels this way. I'm the only one who has this. And that's not true. And I think when we start talking about it and start sharing our own experiences and get vulnerable, I think then those lies are exposed and they're gone. And then we can see, as we talk to other women, that they've gone through similar things to us, and that we're not alone and we're not the only ones. And that even some of the people that you might look at and they're the people that you're thinking like, oh, wow, they're beautiful, I wish I could look like them, they struggle with it just as much. And so I think the more of us that can just get to this movement of just really, truly loving ourselves and loving ourselves for the way we were created, flaws and everything, not just because we look a certain way or when my hair looks like this or I get to this weight. No, that is just not the great mentality. And I even think of myself, having a child now and being pregnant again. And I remember, your skin stretches way out, and after you have a baby and when it all goes back, there are little spots that are wrinkly and have stretch marks all over it. And, it doesn't look the way it did before you had a baby. But you know what? It's beautiful, because those little scars, if you will, was my body bearing life and giving a baby. And I think that those things in your life that you look at as flaws or scars, those are the things that have changed you, that have made you who you are today. Those are things for me, the anxiety and things I walk through, those are the things that have made me more empathetic for people. Those are the things that have helped me want to help people get free from all of that. So I just want to encourage you today that if you are walking through this or have in any capacity, to just sit down, and it may take a little while, and really say, what is my purpose? Who am I and whose am I? Because we all have a purpose, and that's what's so awesome. And I think if you just really sit down and really think that through and just remember that, and on the days where you look and you're like, oh, I don't like this or that, look at that. This is my purpose. This is who I am. This is whose I am. And for me, it might be saying, this is what God says about me, and reciting that until I believe it in my heart. And for you, however that looks for you. And until you really believe it, not just saying it, but believe it. And I think that we all, as women, we will change the world when we can really learn to love ourselves and not on a conditional thing, but unconditionally. And so I just wanted to get on here and encourage you guys tonight with that, because it's something I'm very passionate about. And I'll be talking to in future videos about like identity and things like that, because I think that our identity and how we see our identity really does affect our personality and how we view the world and how we view ourselves. And so that's something I will share on more detail in a future video. And also even the anxiety stuff I touched on just a little bit, I will go into depth with my story and what has helped me with that also. So stay tuned for all of that, and just make sure that you subscribe so that you can get the videos when they come out. And then also, if you have questions or there are things you would like me to talk more about or more in depth about, please leave them in the comments, and I would love to, respond back, and I would love to do more videos of things that you guys are really wanting to know more about. So I hope you guys all have a really great night.